Welcome to Homemaking with Mima. My name is Wendy, and today we're going to be doing some freezer meals. We're going to do some dinner freezer meals, and if I get a chance, I'm going to do some sweets as well. Maybe some cookies or some banana bread. I have a lot of stuff that I need to deal with, and so I'm off today. I figured today's a good day. So let's do this. Okay, so before I got ready for the day, I knew I had a lot of cooking to do. My hamburger chubs were still frozen, so I cut them up. I cut up 2, and I got them in the Instapot here. I just cut them into chunks, and I get them partially cooked in the Instapot. Then I finish cooking them to break them up on the stove. Okay, so yeah, it looks like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my potato masher and break it up. And then once I get the other frozen chubs cooked, I am going to put them in this pan as well. Get them all cooked up together with some onion and seasoning, and then I'll be splitting the meat up for different freezer meals. So, while that potato masher works, now I'm gonna finish cooking it all off on the stove with onions and some seasoning. Just to make sure that it's completely cooked through. Okay, so I'm gonna get the next 2 chubs. They're still frozen. So I'm gonna get these next 2 chubs into the Instapot so that I can get them partially cooked, and then I'll finish cooking it off on the stove, like I said. This is why I like my Instapot. Instant Pot. I always pronounce it wrong. You just want to make sure that you keep it below that max line, otherwise you're going to have some issues. And mine is if I push it really hard. Then I'm going to put a cup of any liquid, preferably water or beef broth for hamburger. Make sure it's on the seal. Meat and stew, and I had it at 45 minutes before, but I'm gonna go 35. So I'll set it for 35 minutes, and we're gonna let the Instapot do most of the work here. Okay, so earlier I got some more burger in the Instapot to cook. It was frozen, so I'm gonna get it started there, and then I'll finish it on the stove. Last night I took out a gallon-sized bag of tomatoes. There they are, they're done. I took them, put them in my crock pot, had it on low before I had gone to bed, got it broken down a little bit, smashed them up, then I turned it on warm for 10 hours, and then I took the lid and I just kind of partially put it off to the side so that a good portion of the moisture could evaporate. And so now I'm going to get the seeds and skins out of there to the best of my ability. And I purchased this beauty. All of it. It's the stand, the strainer, and the wooden utensil that goes with it. I purchased it at the thrift store. I've mentioned that I've purchased some of my glass baking dishes, the smaller size ones. They didn't come with lids, but we're a smaller family now, so I don't make the big 9x13 pans if I can get away with it, of casseroles and hot dishes and that. So I got them at the thrift store. And I got this at the thrift store too. I don't know how much I paid for it because I've had it for 3 years. But just look at the thrift store. You can find some deals. So what you do is you put your product in here that may have skins or seeds. And you can hear it already draining some of the juices. But then what you do is you take this tool and you just turn it around and you work that juice through the strainer. I'm going to bring you in again so you can see what's left in there. The skins and the seeds. And in the bottom is the juice. Isn't that awesome? And that is done. Didn't take very long either, but like I said, I only had a gallon-sized bag. There's all the stuff that's going to be just thrown away. I don't have a compost pile. And there's all my juices. Okay, so I'm assuming I need a lot of onion cut up today. And this onion is really strong. So I am not going to cut it up by hand, but I'm going to show you something else that I got at the thrift store. This was about a year ago. I bought this with the smaller insert if you want to make smaller pieces. Pays to be frugal. I'm putting these onions into a container so I can get a lid on them because they're strong, very strong. So one of the freezer meals I'm going to make is meatloaf. And this is how I prep my pans, because what I do is, well, I'll just show you. So I line my loaf pan with saran wrap. And the reason for that is I'm going to make my meatloaf mixture. Once I get it done, I'm going to form it in here. And then I'm going to flash freeze it. And then I'm going to take it out of this loaf pan, wrap it one more time in saran wrap, label it. And then I'm not sticking an actual pan in the freezer to hold my meatloaf. The meatloaf is going to be in its own little container. I mean, with the saran wrap, and it's going to be frozen. So then when it's time to cook it, I know which pans to take it out and put it in because it's already going to be formed to this pan. So then I can just take it out of the saran wrap, put it into this pan, and make the meatloaf. So these two chubs I had thrown in cold water this morning, and they were able to thaw completely so that I could make the meatloaf. So we're going to get them into the bowl. And I have a garbage right down here below me so I can throw the wrappers in. So in my upright freezer here, I had some, I believe these were hamburger buns that I cut up and toasted for like breadcrumbs. And that's what I'm going to use as part of my binding agent today in my meatloaf. So I'm just going to get them crushed up. And it actually cleaned out one more item in my freezer, which was nice. Oh, getting a hole in it. It's time to quit. Big hole. All right, I'm going to bring all the stuff that I'm going to put into it. I don't measure. So there's my 2 chubs, pound and a third each, breadcrumbs, good amount of ketchup. I'm gonna put some barbecue sauce in there with it. Not much. Some salt. Open this up better. Pepper. I'm still trying to use up this Mrs. Dash. I think the rest of it I'll put in with the meat that I'm going to be cooking on the stove. And some garlic powder. Those onions I just chopped up. That looked like 1/3 of a cup. That went on quick. And then I have 2 eggs. And these are farm fresh eggs, so you always have to check them. My neighbor brought over some farm fresh eggs for us. That looked good. So I'm only putting 2 eggs in there. Oops, I got shell in here. That looks good too. 2 eggs for each chub of meat. Oh, go figure. I have a package of onion soup mix. Let me grab that. Yeah, my hands are dirty, but I'm just going to get this all mixed in here anyway. So a pack of onion soup mix as well. There. Try to divide this in half. The best of my ability. I don't make a full loaf pan. There isn't enough in our family anymore that's at home eating that I need to. So I put it in there and I shape it to the best of my ability here, to the size that we want it. Then I always put like a little, it's not a well, but because you know when it cooks, you get all those juices in that, and this way it helps run it down when it does cook. So there's the first one. Meatloaf done. Now I'm going to get these wrapped up, put them in the freezer to flash freeze in the pan, and then we'll deal with them later. Take them out and label them. Okay, so that second set of burger is done in the Instapot. So this is how I release it so that I don't get just a mess. You just throw a wet cloth over it, let it finish releasing. Open the lid away from you. And I can get these chunks in here and break them up. And then we'll finish cooking it on the stove. Okay, so I'm gonna break these chunks up. And the potato masher works a lot better than those meat things from like Pampered Chef and that. Only because it's already cooked and it's a little stiffer. Putting it on the stove here. Put it on medium. Finally going to use up the rest of this Mrs. Dash. That's gone. Some salt. May look like a lot, but I have 4 of those chubs in there. Garlic powder. And pepper. And of course, some of those onions that made me cry. All right, so while I've got that continuing to cook on the stove, I'm going to get something else going in the Instapot. Just when you're doing freezer days, try to multitask as much as you can and use your appliances the best that you can. Like this Instapot, it is a savior today. So I'm going to cook all of this in the Instapot, and then I'm going to take the meat off of it. Okay. I had to wash my hands before I put the lid back on. So I'm gonna get this working for me again. I washed the insert, then I sprayed it with some cooking spray, put the meat in, the chicken, and then a cup of water. I'm gonna heat the meat, push the meat button again, and it's gonna do its thing. Okay, so this hamburger is done cooking for its second time here on the stove. Make sure that it's done. Now, I believe I'm going to make regular tater tot hot dish, goulash, some taco meat, and if I have any left, I might just freeze it as is pre-cooked hamburger with onion and seasoned. So okay, so now for the goulash. I haven't made goulash in years. I have that hamburger and it's cooked with onions and assorted peppers. I did cook down those tomatoes that I had in the freezer. So instead of opening tomato sauce, I'm going to use that. I took out a can of stewed tomatoes. So I'm going to put together our base here. I'm going to put in some basil. I'm just winging this. I can't go wrong with some Italian seasoning, I suppose. Garlic powder. Pepper. Salt. We'll get this mixed up before I put the tomato sauce in there. Now the tomato sauce was cooked with nothing. It has no flavoring to it. So I'm going to taste this mixture. Put about half of that in to see if it's going to need anything. No, I don't think so. It's seasoned really good. Even though it's a mishmash of everything, but it is what it is, right? Cook with your heart. So this is the base. I'm waiting for, I'm going to have elbow noodles with it. And I might even throw some cheese in it because you can never go wrong with some cheese. You know what? I'm going to put some ketchup in here too. Because I can. No measurements, just winging it still. So the elbow noodles are cooked. I par cooked them so they weren't cooked for the complete time because they'll continue cooking in this when you heat it up as the casserole. And I grabbed some cheese. I'm gonna throw some cheese in it because I can. A handful and a little bit, and we'll top the goulash with the cheese as well. Gonna be easier this way. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be doing tater tot hot dish here. And some things that I need here. It's cooked burger with onions. I'm put a little onion or garlic powder, pepper, and some salt. And I've got a can of cream of mushroom, can of celery, and I have just a little bit of sour cream left in here that needs to get used up, and I'm throwing that in there. It isn't going to hurt it at all. Okay, so we are going to finish the tater tot hot dish. And I might have too much for this pan, but that's okay. So I like to do a layer of the potatoes on the bottom, then the meat mixture. So this is enough for another whole pan, but I don't have enough tater tots. So I'm going to freeze this, and I can just make tater tot hot dish another time. Just get these all spread out, push down. So this took a 2-pound bag of tater tots because I do have a layer on the bottom as well. And then the meat mixture, like I said. Top it with just a little bit of cheese, not a lot. So that way then the potatoes can get crispy. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of cheese here and there. So the chicken legs that I threw in the Instant Pot are done. They've cooled off some so that I can take the meat off of it. And then I'm gonna get this in the freezer for a future meal. At least it's all cooked up. This is how much chicken I got out of those chicken legs that I cooked in the Instant Pot. I'm gonna label them and get them in the freezer. Okay, so the tater tots are underneath. I've got the Sloppy Joe mixture mixed with some cheese. And put tater tots on top. This is the Sloppy Joe tater tot casserole hot dish, whatever you want to call it. We've never made this, I've never had this before, but I had some Sloppy Joe mix left over and thought I'd give it a try, see if we like it. Put a little bit of cheese on it. Then I'm going to get this covered and ready for the freezer. Okay, and the last thing I'm doing for today, I hope, is I'm cooking up this pork breakfast sausage. I didn't realize I had that in my refrigerator, so I'm going to cook that up and let it cool and put it in freezer bags, and that'll be 2 different meals for us. We usually eat sausage gravy over toast. We can do it on biscuits, but we just tend to do toast. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so the breakfast sausage is done cooking. I got my bags labeled. It's cooked sausage. I'm going to split them up between the 2 bags. All right, that is it for my cooking today. Now I'm gonna let these cool a little bit more before I seal them, and I'm gonna do my dishes. Okay, this big venture for today is complete, other than just putting it in the freezer now. Some I've had in the freezer. I took it out so that we could do this, so that you could see the benefit of it all. I got 12 freezer meals here for us to turn to in the future here. I do have some freezer meals downstairs still, but these are ones that I've created. I cleaned out my chest freezer and a little bit of my upright freezer downstairs and created meals out of what I needed to just get out of there. I combined my one of my chest freezers into the other one and shut the other one off and cleaned it. We're putting in a meat order for a quarter cow and a half a pig, so we will be ready for it when that is ready. So 12 freezer meals here. I got 2 meatloafs, 1 tater tot hot dish. I had to write it down, cheat sheet. Sloppy Joe tater tot hot dish, 2 goulashes, 1 taco meat, tater tot base for another tater tot hot dish, 2 breakfast sausage meals here, cooked up chicken, and just regular cooked up burger with onions that I can make, you know, pretty much anything out of. But that is it. I won't be doing freezer meals now for a while because we have plenty to turn to. Plus, whatever else we, decide to eat as well. If we go out or if we go somewhere, then we won't be using freezer meals. But they are so convenient to turn to. And it's mainly just my husband and I that eat these. And, some will have leftovers, some we won't. And it's so convenient. I wish I would have done this years ago when I was a young mother, because boy, would it have been very convenient for me. If you like this kind of content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I do plan on bringing more content to you. Freezer meals are going to be not in the future here for at least a couple months, because we're going to be eating through these, because I'm out of room in my upright freezer now once I get these in. And yeah, just give the channel a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy this content. And I want you to make it a great day.